Welcome, everybody. My name's Maralee Burnett. I am your astrologer, back with the messages for the week of August 10th, which is officially the first eclipse week. So we are headed into a big, powerful new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Leo, associated with the South Node, which means we are moving away from something in order to start something new. Now, this may not be a complete surprise for you. Chances are, if you're going to be personally impacted by this eclipse, whatever it is that you need to move away from and let go of could possibly already be underway for you. And maybe you've already lost something like a job, like a friend, a pet, a car, anything can be an object of the universe's attention at eclipse season, but mostly it's important life-changing events because these are fated events that affect us through our fate and destiny, or the North and South Node. And everybody has a North and South Node in their chart that occurs at birth, your natal chart. But we also are impacted by the transiting North and South Node, which have just changed signs. And so this is a beginning of a whole new chapter of lessons that have everything to do with the signs Leo and Aquarius. So if this all sounds pretty interesting to you, you want to make sure that you click on that subscribe button for me. That way you will get notifications every time I post new content. And more importantly, go out to my website, maraleeburnett.com. Links, of course, will be down below. There you can access all of the written content that I have created to help support you in your astrological journey. And of course, out there right now is the month of August content. And in that content, there is this new moon solar eclipse and, again, another pretty dramatic full moon lunar eclipse that's coming up at the end of the month. So like I said, if you click on that subscribe button or join me as a member on my website, you'll be sure to be prepared for what is coming up for you. And we do have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to dive right in and get us looking at this week. And what I find interesting about how we kick off the week is the fact that on Monday, August 10th, we are getting started from Venus's perspective. And Venus has just moved into her home sign of Libra, and she's part of what we call a kite formation. And if you're looking at the screen in front of you, you can literally see what looks like a kite. The outline of the kite is here in the blue, and the frame of the kite is here in the red. And it's that opposition that gives the kite the opportunity, the tension that's needed to get lifted up off the ground. So there can be a relationship, a legal agreement, a partnership of some kind that could involve money, maybe it's beauty, maybe you're a model, it's a beauty contract, marriage contracts. What opposes this Venus in Libra energy is Neptune in the sign of Aries, and it's currently in retrograde. So this can be a spiritual leader from the past. This can be somebody in your life who is trying to deceive you. That can be a Neptunian energy. Or it's somebody who's trying to inspire you and wants you to go after your dreams, Neptune and Aries, versus what your current partner or your current relationship partner wants for you. So there's this yin and yang between Aries and Libra, what I want, what we want, that is at a crossroads. And so that's where the tension begins. And then you have these opportunity energies supporting you. This is a grand air trine, and it's been going on since last week. And that's why there's potential for whatever is about to lift up off the ground for you to have already been underway. So now we have the grand air trine with Venus in Libra, Pluto in Aquarius, and we have Uranus in the sign of Gemini. So all three air signs is why this becomes a grand air trine. Three signs all in trines to one another that create an opportunity. And whatever the opportunity is, it's going to get lifted off the ground, but only if you take advantage of what that opportunity is. And then supporting that even further with that Pluto, Uranus, Neptune minor triangle. So again, there's this hidden energy of change and support that is there helping you as well. But you can't shy away from the tension that's being created, because it's the key to solving the conflict so this opportunity for you can rise. And I think this opportunity is what the eclipse is going to help us accomplish. And so that is how we get started off here on Monday, along with Mars at the last minutes and degrees of the sign of Gemini, which can be very intense. 29 degrees is always intense. And it sits next to the planet Ceres, or asteroid Ceres. This is a feminine energy of harvest and nurturing. And so there is some kind of data harvesting going on. And there is somebody who is maybe using data in a way that's being exposed at this time. So what we learn now is fated, because these two energies are also speaking with the South Node in Leo, and of course that means the North Node in Aquarius at the same time. So what we're learning, what actions we're taking based on the information we're learning right now, is again part of fate's efforts to get us aligned with where we're meant to be and what we're supposed to be doing at this time. And of course, that South Node in Leo is letting go of leadership. It can be releasing blocks to joy and love and happiness. And it can be kind of traumatic, right? Moving away from needing to be on stage, needing to be seen, needing to hog all of the attention, and learning how to balance it, North Node in Aquarius, with what your audience needs, for instance. So no longer doing just what matters to you, but doing what matters to your audience and adjusting your performance based on what your audience needs from you. So a lot will change over the next 20 months, in particular on that axis of Leo and Aquarius. Leo the leader, Leo the king, Leo the lion, Leo the royal family could be going through some changes. But any important leader, companies, countries alike, are going to go through some significant fated changes, and many will move on over this next 20-month cycle. But it starts now with this first major eclipse, South Node eclipse, of what we're letting go, and what we're seeing over these first 2 days of this week are helping us introduce ourselves to what it is that we need to realize that we need to let go of. So as we move ahead here to Tuesday, Venus is starting to move on, but as she does, is still connected with Uranus, so that can bring financial surprises, that can bring relationship surprises, innovative new ideas, innovative new contracts that are created. Maybe the merger between SpaceX and Tesla is announced. Like, that would be a perfect example of this kind of energy. And then we see another kite created by Mercury in, of course, the sign of Leo, where the moon is already entered. They're speaking with Jupiter, and this is a really big opportunity. So there's agreements potentially being made today, because Mercury, of course, rules communication, and it can be a younger, more sensitive leader that is stepping into the spotlight today and being challenged here. Remember, we need that opposition energy from Pluto and Aquarius. So the people and this new young leader, this new sensitive young leader, are at odds. But when they get together and solve their differences, then this new opportunity to rise above presents itself. So there's this mystic triangle between Mercury and the Moon with Neptune, with Pluto, with Venus. So all of this energy that's going on means that there's a lot of connections going on in the sky, and then what happens above happens below. So it's a very active sky. It's very active from relationship perspective, from legal perspectives, from finding balance, money, and then of course information, communication, announcements. And Mercury is young, youthful energy. It can be fun and joking and jovial, and maybe there is a leader like that who is stepping up in a leadership role somehow. So these few days leading up to the eclipse moment are full of opportunities, but there is tension that we have to navigate. We have to learn how to meet in the middle and explore from both of these perspectives what is best for me as an individual and what's best for the other people who are a part of my life. And we have to figure out a way to make both sides happy. So that works from the Leo and the Aquarius axis. It also works from the Libra and Aries axis. So those are very similar energies, and they're both having the same argument. But even as you look at this mystic triangle or this envelope energy, right, it's information that is being shared with us that provides us what we need as leverage to solve these conflicts. So I expect Monday and Tuesday leading up to the solar eclipse to be very, very active, and probably already with the weekend leading up to it, just as active. But that's a lot of trines. The blue energy is supportive energy, but both sides of the light and the dark can use this opportunity for what they want, but fate has the final say when we are talking about eclipses. So let's move into it and let's start breaking down and talking about this eclipse that is occurring. So let me pull this up so that we can see it exactly. And as usual, we will do the breakdown for every sign when it comes to what is the opportunities and what's the potential for you. Now, I'm going to give you a high level option, right? But this will very much depend on your chart, and specifically, where do you have 20 degrees of Leo to 29 degrees of Leo, because that's where the South Node will be sitting. So this means it's just a partial solar eclipse because of the distance between the sun and the moon and this node, or the eclipse of the earth. So this is in some ways maybe not as dramatic, but we are talking about Leo energy, and we do have a lot of leaders around the world that have strong Leo energy. So I do still expect it to be pretty dramatic. And so what does the energy of Leo mean? Leo is, as I mentioned, the king of the jungle, the royalty, leaders. And historically, when there are eclipses, we always see some pretty dramatic changes in leadership, like we saw with what happened with Iran and its leaders in the previous eclipse cycle, which was 6 months ago. But this cycle is new. It's different. We're now in Leo. We were in Pisces and Virgo in that last 6 months event. Now this is a new picture of how leadership can look going forward. And then Leo can be the actor. It is about being on stage. It is about being a leader and being in front of people. Leo is ruled by the sun. Sun is what we see as our success. And so we shine brightly. And the sun in Leo is the 5th house of fun and joy and children and happiness. And it also is anything that speaks to your heart, like hobbies and romance. All of the things that are connected to our hearts show up in the 5th house in our chart. And so that means we can have new conversations about children, and we can have new conversations about joy and new events that relate to those topics that are somehow brought up and exposed as a result of this eclipse. Now, this is an interesting, set of eclipses when the sun and moon join together and the south node is involved. Then we are moving away from something. The sun's light is blocked and the moon takes over. And the moon is associated with femininity. The moon is associated with feelings, with security, with home and family. And there is something along those lines that is starting over, starting new, starting fresh. And so there could be a woman somewhere in the world that is stepping up and into a big leadership role, as one example. And of course, that means someone else, and maybe a masculine, feminine battle doesn't come out on top, and the masculine energy may have to move aside, for instance. But as I've mentioned, there's many, many, many ways that this can show up. Now, you'll also notice that anything else going on in the sky, as far as degree-wise, is not sitting at 20 degrees. So this is an eclipse that truly is standing on its own. It's significant. Nothing else is distracting from it. All the other energies I talked about from Monday and Tuesday are alive and present, but they are not directly interacting with this eclipse. So it is a significant new beginning that occurs because of the fact that we are letting something else go. Other significant things going on in the sign of Leo, of course, include Jupiter and Mercury both being here and influencing through teaching, through information, how to start something new. But always keep in mind, I don't suggest you set new moon intentions when an eclipse is occurring, but I do suggest you set intentions for what things do you want to have eclipsed out of your life. Things like bad habits, mindsets. It's those types of things that you can work on releasing and letting go that will be assisted by this energy. But if you try to start something new in eclipse, it will get eclipsed out. So that's not what you want to focus on. Focus on letting go and releasing the things that are blocking you from being able to start something fresh and new. And then let the month of August do its work. So both Mercury and Jupiter teaching, educating. Mercury is like an elementary school education. Jupiter's your college education. So there's like all levels of information are making themselves known at this time. And both of these planets have recently been in a bit of a battle with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. So this may be the information that's coming out about that conflict that we can use or leverage to be headed in a new direction. And then we've just seen Mars finish its time in the sign of Gemini, which is information wars over the last 6 weeks has been pretty intense. And now Mars moves into the sign of Cancer. Instead of being a warrior for information, it's a warrior for home and family. It can bring battles at home, battles where we have to defend our homes, defend ourselves in some way. And of course, that Mars energy is speaking in harmony with that North Node, and that is a connection that helps reunite people in some way. So that is where we'll focus for the next 6 weeks. Sometimes I describe Mars as being a little bit of a spoiled brat when it can be in the sign of Cancer. It truly just depends on how people deal with their emotions. If they're comfortable with them, then Mars in Cancer you want on your side, because they're going to defend your feelings to the end. If somebody is uncomfortable with feeling or expressing their feelings, then the next 6 weeks are going to make these people uncomfortable. We all have choices when it comes to the energy. It doesn't just work one way or another. We do have some free will here. So we'll see something shifting and changing at home because of the US's chart and the fact that Mars is here to defend it over the next 6 weeks. And as it does, it speaks in harmony, I should say, with Chiron in the sign of Taurus. They're both sitting at 0 degrees. They are 60 degrees apart. It's a sextile. So there's this subtle energy available that can help create some healing in some way. It could be healing for large groups of people because of that North Node in the sign of Aquarius influence as well. And then, as I mentioned, we still have the kite, we still have the grand trine, we still have the minor triangles, but the big showmaker, of course, is the sun and the moon coming together at 20 degrees. This also starts a new chapter of more balanced leadership, because the number 2 is about balance. The number 0 is about a fresh start, a reset. Think of the Fool card in the tarot. This is the beginning of a new journey. So I do think this still does indicate new leadership coming, whether it will be immediate or over time. There's definitely leadership changes happening somewhere out in the world. All right. So that's the overview. And then we're going to do the breakdown for every sign to give you an idea of what house is being activated. But just like this chart, this person's new moon is happening in their 10th house of career. But what they're letting go of with the South Node in their 11th house, for example, would be like the close friends that they work with now in order to take this new opportunity. So there's a little bit of sadness of, I have to let this go in order to start on this new journey. But doing so, right, is what, connects me, North Node and Aquarius in the 5th house, with something that I'm truly passionate about. So there's a letting go. It brings up some sadness, but in the end, you'll end up being a lot happier with the career that you have and what you're doing, because it's connected more to your heart. So if this happens to be you, Libra rising, with this look of your chart, then there's your little free mini reading. But everybody's going to be a little bit different. And so let me get us started as usual with the sign of Aries. All right, Aries. So all the things that I just mentioned, because this is a fifth house new moon solar eclipse for you, means that there can be sudden, unexpected changes in your fifth house. So, unexpected changes with your children, unexpected changes in the romance department, unexpected changes and breakthroughs in things that you do that are a hobby. There can be, unexpected changes in anything that you love or that brings you joy. And there can be a letting go of something related to those topics in order for you to start something new. Now, of course, Aries is also a fire sign. This is a fire sign new moon solar eclipse. So it's something that you're more aligned with and maybe really excited about starting. And so, just as I mentioned in the example before, if you're letting go of something in that area, like a child is leaving home and getting ready to go to college, right? And that feels kind of heartbreaking at first, right? Because you're suddenly an empty nester. But then it opens the door, let's say you're single, to a new opportunity for romance, because it allows you to get out and do things that are fun again. Not that having children isn't fun, but it allows you to get out and be yourself and go do things. And as you're doing them, the things that bring you joy, and you meet people that are also doing the things that makes you joy, then you're making a connection. So whether it's romance or a hobby, you could be just getting out and going to a class. It's something that you have to be willing to let go of in order to open your heart to something new. So that is Aries. And then we have Taurus. So Taurus, this is a new beginning for you at home. So something new beginning that involves home and family. Could be your mother, could be where you live. It could be going on a big research project about your ancestry. But if you're going to be moving, for example, and maybe you did move back in 2017, which was the last time we had this eclipse, then just know that what you're letting go of, what you're moving away from, or maybe somebody's moving out of your home, what replaces that loss, of course, will end up being better in the long run. But as usual, when we let it go of something that we love, it is an adjustment period. And you can work with this energy, Taurus, and start, releasing things around your home. So remember how I said, don't necessarily manifest, but join with the energy. So this is a perfect time for you to purge things around your home that just no longer bring you joy. So, you hold it. Does it bring you joy? Does it make you happy? And if not, then it's time for it to go. We think about that with our closet, but we can do that with anything, any object throughout your house. And so this might be a good time for you, Taurus, to do that. If you have zero interest in moving and you don't want there to be any shocks or surprises that force you to move, unfortunately, like a fire, which has affected so many people around the area that I'm in for the summer, and it's just absolutely heartbreaking to see the devastation. So, fire, home, be careful with fire around your home as well, Taurus, just to be on the safe side. I wouldn't burn anything in the house. Don't light any candles over the next week. Just purge the things that no longer serve you at home, because there is a new beginning at home. And so for those of you that are looking to move, this energy will help support you in your quest. And then we have Gemini. Gemini, this is happening in your third house, which is Gemini energy. So this is a new beginning that involves something that you maybe want to learn. It could be a new role in your community. You could be stepping into a teacher role, right? Back to school time. So maybe you are starting a new role at a new school, but you would have to let the old school go in order to take on this new job. And of course, that is a little bit heartbreaking. But this new community that you're stepping into or becoming a part of is pretty amazing. Now, there can be things like car wrecks where your car is destroyed and then you have to replace it and get a new one. I mean, all kinds of things can happen with eclipses, but the key to it could lie back in the one that happened in 2017 to give you kind of some clues as to what shocks and surprises may be happening, that you have to open your mind to something new and a new perspective. And the third house does rule communication and learning, as I mentioned, teaching, community. It also can be a new beginning that involves some of your extended family members. Think cousins, siblings. So there can be a new opportunity to do a creative project, maybe with your siblings or with a cousin or uncle or aunt, anybody that's not within your immediate family. There can be information that comes in about a family member that could shock and surprise you. And there can still be some movement going on for you as well, Geminis, but be open-minded to the changes and the letting goes so that you can shine brighter based on what you learn and what you move on from. And up next, we have Cancer. Cancers, this is a new opportunity that involves the money that you make. So with the South Node there, that does mean you are likely letting go of a current role or position. You could be moving companies, or I see this often, a restructuring within your company, because we're talking about leadership changes that then has, of course, the trickle down effect, which then could affect your role and how you're leading people. But this is about beginning to do work that really speaks to the heart, Cancer. It's not just about, I want to make more money. I want to be in charge, right? You can have both, and you'll make even more if you are doing work that you're passionate about and that brings you joy. That's what you're looking to do. And if you're not doing it and you're meant to, then this eclipse will move you away from that job that's not fulfilling anymore and invite you to take on a new opportunity that is. So I do caution people that if you are losing jobs around eclipse season, it's stressful, but don't over stress. Like, trust the process, trust what's encouraging you to be moving on is for a reason, and that something better is following here very soon. I know it's tough, but your mindset matters. And I literally will chant sometimes, I trust that the universe has a plan for me. I trust that the universe has a plan for me, to try to get through those kinds of moments. And we all have them, even astrologers. All right, Cancers. Next, we have Leo. So, Leo, here you go. This is a brand new beginning for you. This is happening in your first house. This is about you and your identity and stepping up and making yourself visible now. And so what does the South Node do? Well, the South Node removes those things from your physical appearance, maybe, so that you're more comfortable showing up and standing out and stepping into leadership roles. So if there were anything in your way of you shining your brightest, then what the South Node will do is remove that from your life so that you can shine as bright as you are meant to. And when we have, again, that North Node is in your 7th house of serious relationships, business partnerships, marriage partnerships, really close friends, there can be something that you are letting go about yourself that has been negatively impacting your relationships. And so this can be a big fresh start for not just you, but also for your partner as a result of what you're willing to let go and change about yourself at this time. But you are meant to shine, right? You're a Leo. You're meant to be on stage. You're meant to be in a leadership role. You're meant to be joyful and happy and guide others on their journey to joy and happiness. So there's something that's blocking you from doing that. And whatever that block is, give it up to the universe. Give it up. Bad habits, negative thinking, talking yourself out of doing things that you know you're meant to do. Let this eclipse take that away so that you can start fresh and new and be this powerful leader that you are meant to be. And then we have Virgos. So Virgos, 12th house eclipses can be intense, right? This is something that's hidden and buried beneath the surface that is coming up now so that you can no longer ignore it, right? The 12th house is things that involve the subconscious mind. It can be secrets. It's the house of endings. It's the house of things that are hidden or where we can feel hidden or trapped. It's also the house of spirituality. And so if you have spiritual gifts for entrance, if you have spiritual gifts, for instance, and they have been feeling blocked, then you can use this eclipse to remove the blocks so that you have complete access to these gifts that you want to use and share with the world and be of service to others by, fully tapping into your spiritual gifts, for instance. And if you are somebody who suffers from, perfectionism, then this can be a great eclipse to remove that way of thinking, that way of critiquing yourself too much, so that, again, that can be removed and released and no longer buried in your subconscious mind as something that you have to be in order to be happy, in order to be accepted by others. You must be perfect. It's not true. It's a big fat lie. And you can definitely use the energy of this eclipse to help release and let that go. And then guess what? That Leo energy invites joy and happiness into your subconscious mind. And maybe you are going to step into a leadership role as a hypnotherapist or a psychologist. Any of those things that speak to you, whatever's blocking you, whatever's been in the way, whatever's been controlling you, now through this eclipse you can be released and then start fresh and new in this area. Next we have Libra. So Libras, remember, you've got these big opportunities that have been coming your way. And so this eclipse in your 11th house of friends and networking groups, well, that's going to connect you with the right people, right? It's going to move you away from anybody that's holding you back from shining your light. It can maybe remove blocks from the internet or your website that isn't allowing you to be seen, allowing you to make a difference, because you've just got this invisible block that is not allowing your content to get out there. So some kind of a shift that happens that suddenly your information flows freely. But it can bring you a new mentor. But of course, that South Node says an old one has to move on in order for you to attract something new in. Same thing is true of, any kind of friendship. Somebody could be moving away as a result of what's going on in their eclipse energy chart. But that doesn't mean that there isn't somebody else that will come in and take their place, or just the shape of the relationship is changing. That doesn't mean it has to end completely. It might become a long distance friendship instead. So whatever or whomever is moving on, just trust that something new, something better is coming in to replace them. And there's some fated work that you would have to do together as a result. And then we have Scorpios. So Scorpios, for you, this can be pretty big shifts and changes as far as your career goes, because this is a 10th house eclipse. So again, I ask you to go back, look at 2017, the last time we had these eclipses, and what was going on for you at that time. And I keep saying 2017, and I mean to be saying 2007. So 2007. It's a 19-year cycle, was the last time that we had this set of eclipses. So what was changing for you at that time as far as your career goes? Now, sometimes I hear people tell me stories about how they were at a crossroads and they had an opportunity to pick a path, and they didn't necessarily pick the path that they wanted. And so now you have this new 19-year chapter starting. And in this new 19-year chapter, you can pick differently. And so a career with the energy of Leo means that your time to shine is now. It's your time to be on stage, to be out front, to lead people, to follow your heart, to pursue what you're passionate about. And you have to let something go. You have to take a risk to be able to pursue this new opportunity for you, Scorpio. But it's a big change. It's a big new chapter as far as your career goes. And if you're retired, then and it's not a career choice for you, it can be anything to do with your status and your reputation. So what are you known for in your retirement? What's your hobby, or what is this thing that you do where you make a difference in the world? Then that too, maybe there isn't anything, is what you're doing. You're finding your joy and you're starting down that new road. Good luck, Scorpios. And next we have Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, for you, this is great news. Like Gemini, this is your ninth house. So Sagittarius energy rules over the ninth house. So you know what you want, and now you're ready to go after it. So this is a big growth opportunity. Ninth house is about the planet Jupiter, growth and expansion. It is far away places, where Gemini is your local community. Sagittarius is foreign people, foreign places, far away places, higher education. So this could be you pursuing a growth opportunity, but to do that, of course, you would have to let go of what you're currently involved in, and it could have something to do with education. It could have something to do with spirituality, because this is that energy of Jupiter. It could have something to do with teaching and educating. And so you're letting go of some current opportunity that you're involved in, and this new one that comes in to replace it is going to invite you to be connected with maybe a new group of people that then need your leadership in some way. So you might have to let go of something that you're currently really comfortable with in order to take on this new growth opportunity, but it's not a challenge for you. This again is fire energy, your fire sign, and this is a trine. So whatever the opportunity is, don't let it pass you by, because you'll regret it. And again, then you'll be stuck in that 19-year cycle again, which of course you do not want to be playing small ever. So take advantage, Sagittarius, of what this next step is for you, even if it makes you uncomfortable at first. And next we have Capricorn. Capricorn, this is happening for you in your 8th house. So 8th house eclipses can be very big on the life-changing scale, because of course we're talking about the 8th house of death, rebirth, transformation, which can feel also very dramatic because of how significant the changes can be. Now, the 8th house rules the money that comes to us from other people. It can be bonuses. This can be intimate relationships. If you're in a relationship where you don't have the closeness that you'd like to have, then this eclipse can help remove the blocks to intimacy that you're experiencing in that relationship. But on the financial scale, it can, with that South Node, move you away from some kind of financial situation that you're a part of, where somebody provides you with funding in some way, but the funding and the restrictions of that funding it doesn't work for you anymore. And so you might have to let go of it before the new source comes along, but trust the process. So if you cut this source of funding off, a better one for you will replace it. But it can be a little scary when we're talking about money. Now, if you're married, this could be your partner who's losing their job. And then just, again, you have to trust the process that something new and better would come in to replace it. And maybe it's already happened. And then this is your sign that the new job is coming soon. Just be patient. All right. And then we have Aquarius. So Aquarius, this is your 7th house of serious relationships, business partnerships, marriages. So it can be a time where your marriage is going to go through a pretty dramatic change. And it can mean that the marriage as it stands today is ending so that it can be revived and reborn in some way. So again, if you're feeling stuck and stagnant in your marriage, or your partner is, there can be some shocking endings as far as relationships go. And then there can be some shocking and surprising new relationships that begin out of the blue unexpectedly. That, of course, would end up being something long term. But of course, that South Node's there. So there's something in your serious relationships that isn't working, your commitment, that you need to release so that something better can come in. So if you're single, you're letting go of your idea of the ideal relationship and getting more realistic and honest. Like, you need a relationship partner who supports your heart and gives you love and shows you love on a daily basis. And if you're not getting that, then there's some big things that need to change. So the eclipse can take those things out of your relationships that are not working and replace it with something new. But also keep in mind, you have Uranus in your sign, and that means that you aren't going to settle for just a typical relationship. You need excitability. And so if that doesn't exist, if there isn't great communication, then you've got to do some things to shake it up and then have a new fresh start as far as your serious relationships go. And then we are ending, of course, our review with Pisces. So this is 6th house. So Pisces, this is a time where there can be shocking surprises that involve your health, your work, your day-to-day activities, things that are part of your day-to-day life. Something in that area may suddenly have to be released or let go of. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Maybe you've been haunted by a physical ailment, and then the South Node will allow that to be removed. Maybe there's surgery, right? And something has to be removed. But doing that would then replace the activity that is a part of your day-to-day life with things that are more enjoyable. And for some, again, I expect leadership changes in the company that you work for, and those leadership changes will trickle down to maybe opening up a new leadership opportunity for you, something that is joyful, something where your voice is being used and heard, and you end up feeling much better about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So, whatever job you do, Pisces, when you have Leo in your 6th house, it has to bring you joy, it has to challenge you, and you have to be able to lead others. And if not, the South Node's going to move you on from jobs like that and introduce you to something that you're more aligned with. So, that is all the signs. And if I said 2017 when I meant to say 2007, erase all of that and relook at that year, because it is a 19-year cycle. And that's the year that you want to be looking back at. So we are, entering into some energetic territory that was pretty challenging when we think of the time from 2007 to 2009, financially speaking. So think through all of those pieces as you're making your own choices on what you're moving away from and what you're letting go of. If there are financial challenges coming for you in the next year, what do you need to do now to prepare? What bad habits do you need to release and let go of so that you're able to navigate through a period that could involve some financial challenges? And for more on that, make sure you go out and read my Chiron in Taurus article, because that's really going to prepare you for what's coming in March of 2027. And we're still seeing what the preview of that is from now till mid-September. So make sure you're showing up and doing the work and aligning with the things that match what you think you deserve and what you're worth. And make sure you believe that you're worth a lot. So that is the experience between now and 2033 instead of the flip side of that. All right, so let's just move ahead through the rest of this week pretty quickly here as we take a look at what else we are going to be doing to wrap it up. But of course, as we move through any post-eclipse energy, it's not just, hey, today is the eclipse and we're done with it, right? Now we're integrating the energy from this eclipse until 2 weeks from now when we get to that full moon lunar eclipse, which is in the sign of Pisces and is completely closing a chapter that actually began back in 2024 when we were first introduced to that energy. So there is some major endings coming, and that North Node in Pisces energy is where we're headed, but we have to keep letting go and releasing the things that are no longer aligned with us and showing up and doing the work so that we can get there. And so as we move forward here, we're going to be doing that work over the next several days. The moon immediately moves into the sign of Virgo. And as we get into the weekend, that's when the moon will be alongside of Venus and helping us reactivate that kite as it moves through here. What's that opportunity? And as we tune into what we need to refine our relationships and to rebalance them, to restore the balance of power in them, then the dream that we have for our relationships can, begin to get, again, lifted up off of the ground. And the moon very briefly is going to reactivate that grand air trine. And then big announcements, big opportunities as Jupiter in Leo and Mercury in Leo are combining their energy. So I expect between Friday and Saturday, there could be big announcements, again, involving leadership roles and changes, whether it's a country or a company, that could, surprise us in some way, because that South Node influence is going to be there for 20 months. So this is all about letting go of leadership and people who are on stage. There could be surprising announcements from people who are in the spotlight, that good news or bad, right? There could be a surprise announcement from somebody about a pregnancy, right? Because Leo rules children. So Saturday could be kind of fun with what we learn. And then as we move into Sunday, we also see Mercury speaking with Saturn and starting some kind of agreements and with somebody older. So it's almost like a handing off of the baton. So we're starting to see Mercury and Leo speak in harmony with Saturn, and that is an older, wiser leader from, the past that is lending credibility to whomever this Mercury character is in our lives or in the collective at this time. And we get this beautiful energy shaping up, which can bring big blessings, with Venus in the sign of Libra and, of course, Jupiter in the sign of Leo. There can be big marriage announcements. There can be an announcement about a video of a marriage that is going to be made available to the rest of the world, for instance, that happened behind the scenes and now it's coming forward for us. But wherever you have Jupiter in Leo at 10 degrees and that Venus in Libra, same thing, those houses are combining their energies. The two benefic planets are holding hands and supporting us, and it's a big opportunity that will carry us forward into Monday of next week as well. So as we're transitioning from the solar eclipse into the full moon lunar eclipse that will come the following week, we have to keep showing up, releasing, letting things go so that we're ready for this grand finale energy that is coming up for us as well. And throughout this week, the sun's going to get closer and closer to that south node. As it does, if there is going to be a significant leadership change now, that's when we may see somebody who's moving on, stepping down, letting their role go. It will likely be in the next week. So make sure you come back so that you've clicked on that subscribe button, gone out to my website and started reading ahead, because I still have the August content and I'm almost done with September, but I'm playing with my formatting a little bit, so I'm spending a little extra time on it. So that'll be out shortly, but already for September are the new moon and full moon articles. So you can go take a look at those to get an idea of what's coming next for September, like the fact that Uranus is going to slow down and go retrograde in the sign of Gemini. And there could be some crazy information and snafus coming up. Internet outages, like all kinds of things are possible once Uranus is changing direction. So now's a really good time to think about backing up all of your information so that you're prepared to manage through something like that. All right. And if you want to work with me, of course, book a session so that we can take a look at your own chart and what's coming up with these two major eclipse energies and how they might be helping you reshape your life. All right, guys, thanks for taking time with me today. Thanks for liking, commenting, sharing my work so it gets out there a little bit more than it does currently. And thank you for listening to the daily tarot cards. I'll put the link to those up here, and that way you get a little astrology lesson along with the tarot card message every day, where I try to lift you up and inspire you, or at least prepare you for what could be a little bit crazy and unsettling energy for the days ahead, but at least you know what to expect. All right, guys, we will talk again next week. Thank you and take care.